Yo, what's going on guys, Arekkz here, welcome back to another Division video. And in today's video, I want to take a look at the Gear Score 182 AUG A3 Para XS that is currently on sale in the base operations for the next week. I spoke about this briefly during my Blueprint Reset video this week, but some of you guys asked whether it's actually worth picking up, and therefore I decided to make a video to answer that very question by comparing it with my Gear Score 204 Tactical AUG A3P. I'm using that as the comparison point because I didn't actually pick up the other AUG that was for sale in the base operations a few weeks back, so instead this is my comparison. So if you guys do enjoy this video and you do find it helpful, as always a like would be super appreciated, and comment down below and let me know what you think. Now to begin with, I'm sure you guys all know this by now, but just to reiterate, Gear Score as an actual number means nothing. A Gear Score 204 weapon is not always better than a Gear Score 182 weapon. The physical Gear Score number has absolutely no impact on your damage whatsoever. Sure, a lot of the time, higher Gear Score items and weapons are of a better quality, and therefore a Gear Score 204 item is often better than a Gear Score 182 item, but it's not better because of the score, simply the stats. And while it's generally safe to aim for just max Gear Score items, there are times, like this week for example, where a lower Gear Score weapon is actually really good, and therefore shouldn't be overlooked simply because of the number that's assigned to it. Anyway, that aside, what are we talking about? Well, this week, if you go to the special equipment vendor, for just 206 Phoenix credits, you can buy a Gear Score 182 AUG A3 Para XS that comes with Deadly, where critical hit chance is increased by 26%, Responsive, where damage is increased by 13% when closer than 10 meters to the target, and Swift, where reloading is 13% faster. Bear in mind, Deadly is one of the best talents you can roll on an SMG, so that's already an instant win, and while this might not be a god roll, Responsive is a really nice talent to have, something I'm a big fan of given the usual engagement range for SMGs. And Swift, while it's not something I'd pick over the other available options, faster reload means less downtime, and less downtime means more DPS. As for stats, it can fire 725 rounds per minute and has a base magazine size of 25, which is the exact same as the Tactical AUG A3P. However, this has a critical hit chance bonus of 25% versus my Tactical AUG, which only has 23.5%, but of course that will vary depending on your role. And finally, for base damage, this will of course vary depending on your build, but for me, the Para XS has a base damage of 11k versus my Tactical AUG, which has a base damage value of 12.2k. And for those of you wondering, this is the build I'm running with at the moment. However, I swapped out my Striker knee pads simply to disable the Striker talent, so as to get some reliable numbers in the firing range. And speaking of the firing range, now let's run some quick tests. Now bear in mind, normally if I were comparing two weapons, I'd try and compare them without factoring in weapon talents to try and get an accurate representation of how they stack up. However, because the purpose of this video is to look at a very particular AUG, talents are in fact very important. Sadly, I don't have a Tactical AUG that has the same talents as the Para XS, so we're just going to have to run with what I have. But with that being said, it's actually going to produce some pretty interesting results regardless. The Tactical AUG I'll be using has Brutal, where headshot damage is increased by 24.5%, Swift, although that's not active, and Destructive, which won't really factor in here. So basically, it's a Brutal Tactical AUG, Gear Score 204, versus a Deadly, Responsive, lower damage Para XS, Gear Score 182. To begin with, stripping them of their mods, the Gear Score 182 AUG deals 48,932 damage on a critical headshot, 24,344 damage on a regular headshot, 25,093 damage on a critical body shot, and 12,484 damage on a regular body shot, whereas the unmodded Tactical AUG deals 48,381 damage on a critical headshot, 27,646 on a regular headshot, 21,327 on a critical body shot, and 12,187 on a regular body shot. And if we then throw the same mods on both weapons to get a more accurate set of numbers, the Gear Score 182 AUG deals 63,831 on critical headshot, 27,752 on regular headshot, 28,714 on critical body shot, and 12,484 on regular body shot. Versus the Tactical AUG, which deals 63,185 on critical headshot, 30,973 on regular headshot, 24,861 on crit body shot, and 12,187 on regular body shot. So, if you stack those numbers side by side, you can see that in almost every situation, the Gear Score 182 AUG A3 Para XS outperforms the Tactical AUG. It crits higher on both headshot and body shot, despite the Tactical AUG having Brutal, and even regular body shots coming with higher damage. The only place the Tactical AUG wins is on regular headshots because the Brutal modifier gives it the edge. So, in summary, when asking whether you should pick up the Gear Score 182 AUG in the base operation this week, The answer is most definitely yes. And it's also a good example of why you shouldn't just look at the numbers you see in your stat screen. If you were to go simply by the base damage and the DPS numbers shown, then the 182 Gear Score AUG would look like the lesser weapon. But of course, in actual testing and looking at numbers that you see in combat, you can indeed see that those numbers are in fact quite misleading. So if you're one of those people that missed the tactical AUG blueprint during week 1 of the 1.1 update and have been in search of one ever since, then there should be no question here. However, if you already have a tactical AUG, then it's worth comparing with what you have right now. If you have an AUG blueprint, then you have the potential to craft a better option, and therefore you don't need this 182 AUG. However, if you haven't had much luck with crafting and you're looking for a quick win, then this is a great option. 206 Phoenix credits is now ridiculously easy to come by. Doing a single challenge mode daily will give you 50 Phoenix credits the first time you do it, plus a further 30 for every subsequent completion. The top 2 weekly high value targets will give you 40 and 50 Phoenix credits respectively, and if you do all of the daily high value targets, then together that's another 120 Phoenix credits on top. So total that all up and you have yourself enough credits to grab that AUG all in a day's work. And there you have it. Hopefully this video has helped answer the question of whether it's worth picking up the AUG currently on sale. Remember that the vendors reset on Saturday if you're in the UK, Friday if you're in the US, so if you're going to pick this up, then do it this week. But aside from that, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.